Welcome, it's Eye on Business. My co-host is Stan Zigman from the University of Scranton. I'm Christine Donalow from Luzerne County Community College. And our guest today is Carl Wilkes, who is President and CEO of the Pocono Mountain Vacation Bureau. Welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here. So tell us a little about the Pocono Mountain Vacation Bureau.
Well, our purpose is to promote travel and tourism as an economic vehicle to encourage people to come and vacation in the area. We're a four-county, what they refer to as a TPA, that's a tourism promotion agency. We cover the counties of Carbon, Monroe, Pike, and Wayne County, which is about 2,400 square miles, so it's a fairly big geographical area. But because of that, there's such a wealth of variety of things to see and do and everything else that really keeps us very busy on four-season area. And we market primarily in the mid-Atlantic states. About 3 out of every 4 visitors who come to the Pocono Mountains is from either New York, New Jersey, or Eastern Pennsylvania. And on an annual basis, we'll see somewhere near 24 million people come to or through that four-county area. And when you think about it, for the 4 counties, we have a population of a little over 250,000. So that's a lot of people that we entertain and we show a good time, hopefully, and encourage them to come back, and obviously encourage them to spend money to build our stronger economy.
And this is a special year for the Pocono Mountain Vacation Bureau?
It is. We were actually formed in 1934, so this year is our 75th anniversary as a Convention and Visitors Bureau. And when you look back, there aren't a whole lot of other businesses and organizations that have been able to maintain themselves over 75 years. It's amazing. 10 resort owners got together in July of 1934 and came with the idea that, hey, if we collectively marketed and promoted ourselves together, we'd be a lot better off. There'd be less competition amongst us, and we'd create a better recognition for our destination. And here we are 74 years later, doing very much the same thing. It's just the mechanism, obviously, with technology and everything else, sophistication of marketing methods, that we do it differently, but it's in essence the same thing.
And when you were preparing for the 75th anniversary, I think you had the opportunity to look at a lot of businesses who have been there for 75 years, even more, and spotlight some of them. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the?
Yeah, that was one of the fun facts that we started looking at, and really the success of a Visitors Bureau for lasting 75 years is not really the Bureau's success. It's really the resorts and the businesses' success. And so we went out and we tried to find businesses that had tourism, hospitality businesses that have been operating for 75 years or more. And they really fell into about 3 different categories. One of which is a lot of resorts, and as you well know, the Pocono Mountains is famous for resorts, and 2 that jump out, or 3 that jump out, are Sky Top and the Inn at Pocono Manor. These were established in the early 1920s, built by the Quakers, and you can see it in the facades of the buildings, the kind of stone construction that is at these areas. And these are beautiful resort areas that have a lot of amenities to them, golf courses and such. And the Inn at Shawnee, which is right on the Delaware Water Gap area. And again, that goes back into the early 1900s, and the major golf tournament, the U.S. Open, or excuse me, the PGA Championship, was held there in 1933, I believe it was. And Sam Snead, who was a touring pro and living in the area, actually took second at the event. So we have a number of resorts, and then there's a lot of what would have been historically called boarding houses that are more bed and breakfast kind of operations. Near here is the Inn at Starlight Lake up in northern Wayne County, that's actually celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. And a great story and a great place to visit. And what I think intrigues me about their story is in 100 years, they've only had 3 owners. Think about that. Only 3 people. You figure
out. You're naming these places, and I said, I've been there. I've been there.
How long you live to have an establishment that's in existence for only for 100 years and only have 3 owners. And then you have places like the Hotel Facher in Milford that's gone through some dramatic renovations. And again, that was back in the 1880s that was developed. And the Tom Quick Inn that's just gone through some renovations.
And it's interesting because I'm not originally from the area, and I've been here maybe 12, 13 years, and in that 12 and 13 years, those have all really changed a lot.
And we're seeing that kind of resurgence. I think, like every business and every industry, it has its peaks and valleys, kind of like a roller coaster. And I would say that we are on that upswing right now, because you're starting to see, even in the softer economy, you're seeing owners and developers reinvest in their properties, upgrade, and then you've got new things coming in, like Great Wolf Lodge that's now a 402-room hotel resort facility with an indoor water park. The Mount Airy Casino and Resort is another good example. We've got a new, beautifully developed golf course up in the Blakesley area called the Jack Frost National that just won acclaims as one of the top 10 best new golf courses in the country. So, you got a mix of the old that's getting renovated, you've got some new coming in, and so we're appealing to a wider group of people, and we kind of think that we have something for all seasons and something for everybody's taste.
And do you see, like, with the different Poconos, the different offerings, so when you're marketing to different groups? One group maybe for this sort of resort, or another group for another type of resort?
That has been the change in the travel and tourism industry. Unlike probably when you and I were kids, we grew up, that whole concept of, mom and dad throws the kids and the dog in the back of the car and you go off to see the USA in your Chevrolet for 2 weeks. I mean, I would I would challenge any of us to think, when was the last time you took a 2-week vacation?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's usually grabbing 4 or 5 days or an extended weekend.
Actually, I saw a marketing piece about the Pennsylvania, and especially Philadelphia and the Poconos. It's a 3 to 4 day week. People come here for 3 to 4 days because it's entertaining and close to the big cities.
That's exactly right. So they can get out on a quick trip. They can be a little bit more cautious with their money, and the most important commodity we have right now is time, and we generally don't have enough time to take that extended time. So getting back to your question, so what we find is our marketing now for tourism is not just general come and have a good time, but if you're a golfer, we promote our golf courses to you, and we've tried to find what we refer to as vertical niches in terms of communicating that message. Or if you're a whitewater rafter or a hiker or a mountain biker or a skier. So everything becomes a unique niche and market unto itself. And so it challenges us, obviously, in what we do, because each one of those different niches require a different approach to it, a different kind of message, and your marketing dollars then, kind of like a pie, get cut into ever increasingly smaller pieces. So we're not one thing to all people, so we're many things to many different groups.
And that's one of the, I guess, supports that you give to your membership, because again, the sophistication, the changes in the marketing, the technology alone for some of these smaller establishments who've only had 3 owners for 100 years, some of this may be new to them. Are they supporting you, helping you? Are they looking to you for guidance? What is the reaction from the actual owners?
Absolutely. I mean, as you well know, everybody today has a website, and we have a very robust and actually a renewed website, 800poconos.com. And so all of our businesses are part of that database. And what we try to do then is market to the consumer who has that particular interest, and whether it be country inns or bed and breakfasts, they can then get information, drive them to our website, and find specifically on our website where all of our information about bed and breakfast and country inns are at. The same thing for golf. So we have different places on our website that address those specific needs and interests so that you can find exactly what you're looking for. There used to be that old saying that build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a pathway to your door. Well, I don't know that used to be true. I know it definitely isn't true anymore. We don't have to build better mousetraps, but we have to build better pathways. Mm-hmm. And if we can get to the customer, the consumer, and help them find the information they want quicker, faster, and easier than the competition, then we have a better chance of landing that piece of business. And that's kind of the approach we're taking.
I think also with the fact that after 9/11 more and more people moved out to this area, that it changed to the dynamics of
Absolutely.
The Poconos.
Yeah, a bigger combination of lifestyle decisions, residents and visitors alike. In fact, we saw that this year, I think in the last year and a half, that when even in a depressed economy, we had more visitation to a lot of our attractions. And it was partially as a result of bringing nearby residents to us, but our own residents within our Fulton County area, where that whole concept of staycation became a very popular discussion last year, and will probably continue. People were rediscovering the areas in which they live, and part of the reason people come to the Poconos, part of the reason I moved here, was that lifestyle consideration, the recreational offerings, the environment that was there for me made living there and working there kind of a double plus.
And do you, I guess, work a lot too with development? I know with the Poconos, Monroe County, they have a long-range forecast to try and preserve a lot of the pristine areas, a lot of the the reasons people come to the Poconos.
Absolutely, we have a seat at the table on the open space groups, on the litter control organization groups, in economic development organizations as well. I mean, you know, in many ways, recreation and tourism is the goose that laid the golden egg for the Pocono Mountains. And so we have to protect that goose, make sure that that the environment is maintained, that the aesthetics are there, that the water is good, the air is good. We launched a green initiative in our bureau here just this past May, unveiled it, and we, you know, are there to provide best practices. Not that we're the expert, but take from others what they're doing and what they're doing, best practices in terms of preserving the environment and protecting it and taking care of it, and sharing that with others. And we've actually gone to developing a one-page sheet now. Before we'll take any of our meetings anywhere in the Pocono Mountains, we have a specific request that we have of the hoteliers, that they're using glass, things that can be washed, and that we're not passing out water bottles, and that we use water pitchers and try to reduce, you know, the amount of packaging, so that we have things like cream and sugar and that in bulk, so that people can be a little bit more mindful of their usage. And I think that's going to start resonating, and I think we're going to continue to see more of that in the future.
When you're I know recently new to the area, when you came here and you started to look at the different resorts, the different offerings that Pocono has, as well as doing the 75th anniversary, when you got to look back, what were some of the surprises or some of the interesting stories that you've seen that you know, again, maybe touched you? Or
yeah, well, you know, one of the lodges that I did mention early on that I visited that I thought was incredible, it's just outside of Milford, about 4 miles, is the Cliff Park Inn, and it's a historic lodge, and the land that the lodge sits on goes back to a grant that was given to the Buchanan family. James Buchanan, one of our former presidents, his uncle was deeded this land by the English kings back in the early 1600s. And a farmhouse was built and everything else, and over time they developed a boarding house that actually opened up in 1900. But some of the planks in the house and the hearth around still date back to the early 1600s. Now, I'm from the Seattle area, the Pacific Northwest. Our history doesn't even start till the 1800s, you know, and so to go into that place and look at that is an incredible place. And then historic spots like Gray Towers in Milford, you know, the ancestral home of Gifford Pichon, and again, really in many ways the father of the conservation movement. Again, it connects with what we're trying to do in the Pocono Mountains in terms of our awareness of our environment. And then you go down to a place like Jim Thorpe, you know, and this time of the year, what a gorgeous spot it is, the Asa Packer Mansion, and you go through there and hear what it was like to be a land baron, you know, and an industrial giant back in that turn of the century again, and it just kind of gives you a real sense of place, and I think that's what impressed me more than anything else. When I came, my perception of the Poconos was the stereotype of the honeymoon destination, and it wasn't really after I got here and took on the job that I began to travel around and see more of it, that I began to see the richness, the depth and breadth of it all.
It's interesting that you say that, because my husband and I travel a lot, and we go to a lot of places, and some of those I'm going, I've never been there. So it's again, as you say, when you target market, there's a lot of people too who'd be interested in some of the other offerings that the area has that maybe we just don't realize they exist.
And you hit the nail on the head. You know, the first thing is you got to grab the person by what their passion is. You get them into the area, and then hopefully we educate them about the other things to see and do. And that will hopefully do one of two things: either encourage them to stay longer and do more, or at least come back on a second, third, or fourth visit. And that's where, you know, our role and our responsibility as a Visitors Bureau all lies, is trying to accomplish that task. Right. Now, it's never always easy, but it's always fun.
Right. It's interesting, since both Stan and I are in education, even the educational institutions in the area have grown. East Stroudsburg, Northampton, where they too bring in people, because people come to to be educated.
Absolutely, and both of those institutions have developed hospitality programs, so they understand the underpinnings of the business opportunities. You know, we employ nearly 17,000 people in the four-count area in the hospitality industry. I believe it's the largest industry employer in the region, and it's a $2.1 billion business in general. So it's not only is it fun and it's a great thing to see and do, but it really is about business as well, and about feeding families and providing economic opportunities for our communities.
And I know, I looked at your brochure that you did for the 75th years, and I thought there were so many things that were that we take for granted today. The first heart-shaped pool, bath was put in. The first Pocono 500 race started in the last 75 years. The 84, the Highway 80. So there are a lot of
mentioning the race. I mean, there's another example too. That twice a year, Lake Harmony is the third largest city in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania during the Pennsylvania 500 and the Pocono 500. So in June and in August, the sleepy little community attracts nearly 125,000 people and becomes the third largest city in the Commonwealth. And when you think about it, that's pretty amazing. Think about all of our snow skiing opportunities in the 8 resorts that we have in the 4-county area. In fact, snowmaking was developed at Big Boulder. So I mean, there's a lot of innovation and a lot of development that takes place in very strange and different places, I guess.
Can you put in a crystal ball and say 75 years from now the Poconos will be?
I think our strength is always going to be our natural environment. And as I see population growth in the cities, in New York and New Jersey, if people want to get away and they want to get back to the natural environment, that's not being created anywhere else. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to preserve and protect what we have, because I think over time what we have will become even more valuable than it is now. And so as an organization, we're working with the land management agencies, both at the state level, DCNR and Fish and Boat, and on the federal level with the Department of Interior and Department of Agriculture, to make sure that places like the Delaware Water Gap or the Delaware and Lehigh River areas corridors. We just recently got a national designation for the Cherry Valley National Wildlife Refuge. And as you said, a lot of our counties are working very hard at preserving green space. So I think we're on the right move, and I think we're headed in the right direction, and I think time will tell that it was probably wise decisions at a good time for us.
And for the people of the Scranton area who will be watching this show, if they're looking for some secret places, some great finds in the Poconos, what was your website again?
800poconos.com. So it's it's a old website, but we relaunched a new design of it. So 800poconos.com, and they can find easy menus, so they can find by either attractions, what they want to do, festivals, events, unique communities. Jim Thorpe and Milford and Stroudsburg are wonderful communities, along with Hawley and Holmesdale.
I know Gray Towers is in Milford.
Oh, yeah.
It's
great
wonderful day trip.
Right.
It is.
Well, Milford's lovely too. Just going into Milford and walking around, and going into the shops and stuff.
And this time of the year, you go down to the Delaware River and you just walk portions of the McDade Trail, or take your mountain bike with you, and this time of the year when the water is flowing and the leaves are coming off the trees, it almost looks like snow. I'd say go out and enjoy the fall foliage, but I think we're a couple weeks late.
Although it's still there, because I've been in the area, over the weekend, and it was still lovely.
You're right. There are still some patches in some areas where it's great. So it is a great place to be any time of the year. And then obviously winter, we embrace that outdoor recreation. Nearly 1/2 of all the skiing that goes on in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania happens in the 4 counties of the Pocono Mountains. So skiing is a big, snowboarding and snow tubing. You talk about a family experience, it's a whole lot of fun. That snow tubing is, you don't have to have sophisticated equipment, you don't have to have any particular skills, you just got to be able to hold on and enjoy the thrill of sliding downhill.
Well, the nice part about, too, the Pocono area is it kind of, as you said before, hits a lot of different things. People who like to golf, people who like entertainment, people who like to gamble, people who like to shop, people who like education. It just goes on and on and on, and you don't think of it in those terms, because again, it has an image for the honeymooner type of person, but in reality it has so much to offer that a lot of us don't take part of.
Yeah.
So
and sometimes when you're so close to something, you forget that it's there.
Yeah.
I think you have to travel a long ways to get something out of it, and it really isn't. It doesn't have to be that case.
Right. It's nice to know that it's there, and hopefully people, by watching the show, will have, learned something new about the area and gone for, a weekend trip or something, or just take a day trip, which would be nice. So we're almost finishing with the show. So any last words you'd like people to know about the area?
Well, I think the thing is to get out and explore it. I mean, there's sometimes that you find it in life that not having an actual plan or not specifically looking for something, you discover hidden gems. And I would suggest to you that any of our highway systems through the Pocono Mountains, whether it be a 209 through the Delaware Water Gap area or a loop around a Lake Wallenpaupack this time of the year, you'll always find something unique and intriguing around the corner. Now, whether it be a little diner that serves homemade pumpkin pie or apple pie, or whether you see a fruit stand there and you can pick up a caramel apple or something else, I think the beauty of discovery is what it's all about, and I would encourage everyone to take their cell phones and their cameras with them, and take pictures of what they do. We have on our website a family album as part of our 75th anniversary. And we love people who are out traveling and taking pictures of themselves and their families enjoying the Pocono Mountains to send it to us and give us a little story about the image, and we'll post that on that website. And all of these images then will be printed out and put in a time capsule along with other things that we've collected during the 75th anniversary that'll then be unveiled during the 100th anniversary. So, whether or not, they can come back in 25 years or send the kids back and see pictures of themselves when they were kids enjoying themselves in the Pocono Mountains.
So the place to start is at www.800poconos.com.
You got it.
Great. Thank you so much, Carl Wilkes, the President and CEO of the Pocono Mountains Vacations Bureau. Christine Donlow, Luzerne County Community College. I'm Stan Zigmund with the University of Scranton, and this is IM Business.